Welcome to Phoenixmasonry Live.
A show about Masonic museum artifacts,
Interviews,
Masonic history,
and much more.
I am Frederick L. Milliken, Executive Director of Phoenixmasonry.
And I am Elena Llamas, Director of Public Relations for Phoenixmasonry.
And we are here to
celebrate
our Freemasonry.
Celebrando nuestra francmasonería.
I'm sorry I cut you off. And that's what we're here to do, to celebrate our Freemasonry. We're celebrating today with Tristan Bourlard, who is director of the great movie Terra Masonica. Welcome, Tristan.
Hi, Frederick. Hi, Elena. Thank you so much to welcome me.
Thank you for coming. And we also have a special guest this time, Dave Gillarm of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, and also co-host of the YouTube show, a great show, the Prince Hall Think Tank. Go on, Fred.
Well, welcome, Dave.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
So what is Freemasonry today? Who are the Freemasons? This extraordinary world tour of 80 lodges takes us to meet Masons in their everyday life, sharing their history and vision of a changing world.
Tristan Bourlard is a director of scientific and historical films and documentaries. He is from Belgium.
In 2014, he received the award recast for Brussels 44, Memory Image, Reus, Spain.
In 2012, he received the Urban Photographer of the Year Award from London.
In 2009, Prix Roberval, Best Science TV Show, France.
In 2002, first prize at the Festival of the Archaeological Film Gillarm in Brussels.
In 1999, Contribution Award, Margaret Mead Film and Video Festival, New York, USA. Also award for Best Documentary of the World, Fiat, Santiago, Chile.
In 1994, the European Prize for Best Scientific Film at the Palaiseau Scientific Film Festival, France. Tristan is also the director of the very successful Masonic film, The Scottish Key, which deals with the origins of Freemasonry and its Scottish influence.
Well, welcome again, and our special guest, David Gillarm. Dave, I understand that Tristan stayed with you for a while, and you were his guide while he was filming in Georgia. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, originally, Georgia was not originally scheduled to be in Terra Masonica, and it was actually supposed to be South Carolina. So when I got the call that South Carolina wouldn't be able to participate, and that Tristan was on his way to the United States, I was told that we would try to find a hotel room for him, and I said, no, we're not going to do all that. He's going to stay with me. I figured he was doing a lot of traveling. He could probably getting tired of staying in hotels all the time. So it'd be nice to sleep in the actual bed. So yeah, he stayed with me. We went around. I think we did 3 days of shooting in Georgia. And we even got to see one of the participants from 1958 when Dr. King spoke at my lodge. So I don't believe that she had ever been interviewed to that capacity. And Miss Minnie Wimbish is now 101 years old, and she can still recall every event that happened that night. So we got to see a pretty good amount of stuff. My grandmaster, Most Worshipful Bruce A. James, basically told me whatever Tristan needs, he's gonna get. And our Deputy Grandmaster Corey Shackelford, he said the same thing. Just let me know whatever Tristan needs. and we're gonna make it happen. So I think overall it was a great experience in Georgia.
Well, we want to let our audience know that Dave is at an airport. He has a flight to board soon, so that is why we hear the background noise.
So Tristan, tell us about your experience with Dave and what you learned about Freemasonry in Georgia.
Yes, first of all, making this trip around the world in 80 lodge, I'm not, it's impossible, you know, when you make this kind of incredible travel to know everything of all the different Grand Lodge around the world, the cultural background, the history, etc. So in every place I need a guide. And Dave was my guide with another brother from Princeton, Georgia, and also in Atlanta. So it was very important for me, not just to be helped to have a guide, but also to feel in security, you know? When you are alone like me, because I'm a filmmaker and I film alone, so it was very important to have a brother on my side to not just help me, but protect me. It was important. And it was one aspect. The second aspect is maybe Dave don't know that, but before the recognition of Princeton Grand Lodge, the first one was in 1990 by the Grand Lodge of Washington. In my country, in Belgium, the regular Grand Lodge of Belgium was the first Grand Lodge in the world to recognize Princeton Lodge, because in Belgium we have a very important lodge of Princeton. It's a military lodge, yes. And the past Grand Master of this time thought that it was very important to receive this lodge was living in Belgium officially. So it's not one reason of that, but I was emotionally very connected with the Princeton Grand Lodge. And the lodge of Dave is very special. It's this lodge have a very incredible history, and we discovered that in the movie. But we have wonderful interviews about the presence of the Dr. King in this lodge in 1958, if I don't mistake, Dave. So it was a very emotional filming moment, and I had the memory because it was 1 year ago, but I passed a wonderful moment with Dave, and I could say that we are brother in Masonry, but we are also brother in blood. So I'm very proud to be now, to have spent this time with Dave and share this wonderful, because the story of Princeton Grand Lodge is very inspiring. You could see that in the American point of view, but for the rest of the world, it's very inspiring, because Princeton Grand Lodge, it's an example of, you know, this quote: if you can change a situation, you have to change yourself. And Princeton Grand Lodge had to face so many difficulties during 200 years. It's just a very dramatic history. And all the brother of Princeton during 200 years were great example for the American society and also for the world. So as a European, I think that it's very important to take inspiration from the Princeton Grand Lodge, and especially from the Grand Lodge of Georgia, who, if we listen to Dave, is the best Grand Lodge of the world.
Well, that is a fascinating part of the movie. You show a pamphlet of the original pamphlet of Martin Luther's talk there, and interview people who remember. And if I'm not mistaken, Tristan and Dave and Fred, you mentioned that brothers from the lodge were the security at that event, because there was nervousness about, you know, the security of the situation, and they were on the roof, armed, you know, the lodge members. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. That was part of the Grand Master at the time, John Wesley Dobbs' plan, and he had all the men on the roof with shotguns.
Wow.
from the can.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, David,
Yes, but,
you are.
yes, but we have to explain why, because this meeting was forbidden because the Ku Klux Klan was there and was wanted to burn all the church temple where the Dr. King wanted to make his speech, and it was a really peaceful speech. It was not the Dr. King didn't want to have to use guns and to kill people. It was a man of peace. And the only place in Columbus who was open to the king was the lodge of Dave.
Right. It's the only place that would have him, right? Who would receive Dr. Kim. I remember that from the movie. That says something about the lodge itself and the place. It's so. Yes, Fred?
Well, I was going to ask Tristan about his movie. I know that you probably had a mission or a purpose in making this movie, and I thought it was a very inspiring movie. What caused you to produce this movie? You had some thoughts in mind as to what you wanted to communicate to Freemasons across the world, didn't you?
Yes, it would take me 2 hours to really explain why I made this movie. It's very, very long explanation because I made another project about Freemasonry before, since 10, 20 years. So it's one of the different aspects of Freemasonry I wanted to show. It's Freemasonry today around the world. But because Dave is here, I think one of the reasons I wanted to make this movie, and I say that because Dave is here, is that we have to break the walls we built during so many years between different style of Freemasonry around the world. So the large public, the non-Mason, don't know that there is some separation between some, that is just crazy. We are in the lodge and we speak about universal brotherhood, and when we see the reality is not really the case, So I wanted to for this celebration of this 300th anniversary to invite normal brother around the table and celebrate this moment together. It was impossible to do that in the reality, but it was possible to do that thanks to the editing of the movie. So Dave is in the same movie that our brethren from the North Pole, from the South Pole, from the West, from the East, from Europe, and bringing all the brethren together. I think for me it was the best way to celebrate this a very important and old institution, the Freemasonry, because it's a human society and it's about human relation, it's about emotion, it's about feelings, and it's about meeting together. So the relation between the brothers are more important to learn about ourselves. I learned a lot when I was in Georgia with Dave, when I was everywhere around the world. So bringing everybody together, I think it's the best way to celebrate. When we make a birthday, we celebrate a birthday or a member of our family. We don't speak about the past. We speak about the present. We speak about our hope for the future. So it was the main reason I made this movie.
Well, David had to go. He had to board his flight. And I want to ask you, are you the narrator in the film? When people go watch this film after this interview, is it you that is telling the narration in the movie?
I'm working, in the same way since I make hundreds of documentaries, and I'm working all the time in the same way. I put my voice first, and after that, I try to find a best narrator than me. I have a very strong French accent, so it's impossible to put my voice in English. So of course I write everything and I put my voice for the editing, but I have a wonderful narrator, is Chris Brooker. is very famous, and I think it's a good voice for this movie.
Oh, it's a great voice, and it has an accent. I thought maybe it was you, but you're right. Your accent is different and more pronounced. And so, why
Yes.
80? Why 80 lodges? Were you inspired by Jules Verne around the world?
Yes, of course, it's a reference to Jules Verne, and in this film it's a little bit like a great journey, you know, a great adventure. I was in the plane all the time, changing country all the time, so I wanted a title who in one line you will understand the movie. Around the world in 80 lodges, it's very simple to understand what this movie is about. So I think a good title for a movie, it's the beginning of a good movie.
Yes, yes.
So go ahead, Elena.
Yeah, you have some great aerial shots. I wanted to ask you this technical question. Did you use drones, or how did you, we're seeing here St. John's Circle Cemetery.
Yes.
If you want to tell us a little bit about it, and also how did you get these aerial shots?
Oh, it was very simple. I was traveling with 80 kilograms of technical stuff, my camera, sound equipment, and also drones. I have 3 different drones to film all this aerial shot. And in the South America, I used also helicopter because it was too high in the mountains. But here we are around 20 miles from the center of Philadelphia. This photo is just incredible. Can you imagine that we are in United States, 20 miles from one of the biggest cities in the world, and you have this cemetery who was absolutely who was just discovered 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It was in oblivion, you know, and it was a place for crime and prostitution. And this cemetery was maybe the most important Masonic cemetery in the world, and also a very important cemetery for the history of United States, because it was also a cemetery for the veteran of the independence of United States. There is the tomb, the grave of a person who was, I don't remember her name, but maybe you know her, is the woman who made the first American flag. So yeah, we will be in 3 days, we will be the 4th of July. And can you imagine, for me as a European, it's very surprising to see that we don't have really a respect for our memory, you know. For me, it's when I see that, there is no respect about the past. To leave a cemetery like this it's not respectful, you know. And thanks to a lot of people who are taking the time, the weekend, for free time to try to rediscover everything and to maintain this cemetery, this memory place, this historical place. It's possible to visit this today, but it was very surprising, yes. This is also another aspect of Freemasonry. Freemasonry is in French, in Europe, we said the art royale. It means that it's a living experience. So what we have behind us, we forget it. So in Freemasonry, we don't have really the capacity to remember the past. And this cemetery is a very good example of how we forget everything.
It looks like they had to whack their way through this area with machetes and bring this back from a jungle. Is that right?
It's really a jungle, and there is a project, a Masonic project in Philadelphia, organized by the Grand Lodge of Philadelphia. There is around 20 brethren who are each weekend trying to work there to cut all this vegetation. It's really like Indiana Jones, you know. And yes, and with the smartphone, they discover a new grave and trying to know which, because all the time it's very big graves, you know. It's very monumental. And with the smartphone, they try to Google the name, discover who was this person from the past. But in Europe, it will be impossible to see something like this. So I think America live in the present, all the time. And this American way to live in the present, it's of course a positive aspect, but have a negative aspect.
Right.
And one of the negative aspects is this difficulty to maintain the past. For me, as I say, you will celebrate in 3 days the 4th of July, and for me it's very sad to think to myself that this grave of the very important actors of the independence of USA, all these graves are forgotten by everybody. Yeah.
Now we all had our favorites, and that's I think that's Elena's favorite one in the movie. And so my favorite, one of my favorites, and there's just so many, Tristan. I mean, it's just so different and so wonderful what you did. But one of my favorites is Jerusalem, and you took some footage there that was just talking about remembering, going back into history. Wow. Tell us a little bit about what you did in Jerusalem, and let's show some shots.
Yes, but before that, I have to explain why I wanted to go to Jerusalem, because my idea was to go from the past. Thanks to Mother Lodge of Scotland, Lodge Number Nothing. It was the starting of the movie, the oldest lodge of the world, the first lodge maybe. And after that, I wanted to go to from the west to the east. So I start my travel after Mother Lodge to USA, South America, Europe, Africa, and then in the middle of the movie, you have Israel and Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, of course, it's very important because in Freemasonry, you have two, I could say, different influence. One of the influence in Freemasonry is the Old Testament and the New Testament. So the Old and the New Testament are very important. But in another hand, we have also in Freemasonry the influence of the Greek antiquity, the geometry, the harmony, the mathematics. So this is the two aspects of Freemasonry. So Jerusalem was very important, and everybody knows that the Temple of Solomon is very important. And what we see in this picture, it's a very unusual picture of the temple in Jerusalem, because nobody goes there. It's forbidden to visit this place, and there is no access for the public. But it's the main entrance of the temple. You have in the movie the 3 doors of the entrance of the temple in this place. So for the Mason, it's important. But what is important to say is that for the Mason today, the Temple of Jerusalem, it's it's an example of a perfection of one temple, So we are not focusing on the Temple of Jerusalem. It's one temple. You could have another kind of temple. So it's this is one idea. The second idea is that in Jerusalem and in Israel is the last place in Middle East that we still have Masonic Lodge. This is very important to say, because the Freemasonry was present in Middle East and Far East from 100 years. And it disappeared in Syria, in Egypt, in Iraq, in Jordania, and we have still Freemasonry in Lebanon, but it's very complex. And it's very well organized in Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, you have 50 different lodges who are speaking in 8 different languages. And what is very emotional is I visit the lodge in Haifa, and in Haifa, it's a Scottish lodge. So we come back from the directly in Scotland and Mother Lodge, and with the green aprons, with the pipes, and it's absolutely exotic to be in Haifa in Israel and to have a very old Scottish lodge coming from the British mandate. So it's a part, very important part of the history of the expansion of Freemasonry. You know, we are celebrating 300 years of Freemasonry, so it's 1717 and 2017. And the scholar and the historian have a lot of discussion today. What really happens the 24th June 1717 is the question is, there were really meeting this date of 4 different lodges, building a new Grand Lodge, the Grand Lodge of London and Westminster. I think all these kind of discussion are not important, because 1717 was really the beginning of something. We don't care if there were really a meeting at this moment, the 24th June, but it's a historical fact that it was the beginning of the expansion. Can't we imagine that in 10 years, starting from 1717, the Freemasonry was present around the world? In 1727, the Freemasonry, a naval lodge, was present in Calcutta, in India. So it's an incredible expansion, and since 10 years we are studying that, and there is a lot of very interesting scientific papers about this expansion. And the Freemasonry in Middle East and in Far East are still example of this expansion starting 300 years ago.
I have to say that imagery throughout the film is amazing. The shots, I mean, we've been showing some here, are really worth seeing. I think this is a good time to show the trailer. I'm going to quickly show Mother Lodge in Scotland that you were mentioning, and you explore the history of this lodge more in the Scottish Key, the documentary film. But you had the opportunity to attend the installation of the new Right Worshipful Master at Mother Lodge in Scotland for the movie Terra Masonica. Do you want to give us a few words about it before we show the trailer?
Yes, it's a very good example of the difficulty to prepare seconds for Terra Masonica. Mother Lodge of Scotland is one of the most prestigious lodge in the world. When you have an event in Mother Lodge of Scotland, you have visitors from all around the world, from USA, from Australia, from everywhere. So Mother Lodge of Scotland is really a big institution in Freemasonry. It's a very special lodge because you have to know that in Mother Lodge of Scotland, they invented their own ritual. And also, there is another aspect in Mother Lodge of Scotland. They are still practicing the art of memory. The art of memory is very important. We have the first mention of the art of memory in the William Shaw statues dating from 1590. William Shaw in 1590, the father of Freemasonry in Scotland, explained what was the heart of memory. And still now, in Mother Lodge and in other lodge in this part of Scotland, they're practicing the heart of memory. And when you see that, it's really a very incredible experience. I can't show that in Terra Masonica because it's forbidden to film inside the lodge, so I respect that. But when you have the privilege to see a 6-hour meeting just in memory, it's just a crazy thing. And to prepare an officer, a warden of a worshipful master to be at the head of the lodge, it takes 20 years of practice of memory to be able to do that. And so I wanted to, you know, in the Scottish Key in 2008, you have a long visit in this documentary in Mary Chapel number 1. Mary Chapel number 1 have his lodge in Edinburgh. So it's the east coast of Scotland. And in Terra Masonica, I wanted to correct a little bit to have a good balance between the Scottish Key and Terra Masonica and make a big focus on Mother Lodge of Scotland, who have the number nothing. So it's not the number 0, it's the lodge without number, because it's the first lodge. And William Shaw made a mistake when he made in 1590 the list of the lodge in Scotland. He forgot to mention Mother Lodge. So this is why Mother Lodge have the number nothing. And it took something like 3 months of discussion with the worshipful master of Mother Lodge, Hyandul, who is absolutely a wonderful gentleman and a wonderful brother, to prepare this shooting, because you know, Mother Lodge, there is a very emotional links between the member of Mother Lodge and their own lodge. And they wanted to be absolutely sure that I will respect the spirit, the DNA, the history, the incredible, this incredible privilege to be welcome in this lodge. And so we take a lot of time of discussion on Skype, on the internet, by email, to prepare everything, to be sure that it will be okay. And after that, I was absolutely free to do everything I want. But my, I could say my moral contract was that after the editing, I showed the movie to all the lodge to be sure that everybody was proud to be a part of Terra Masonica. So when the editing was finished, I showed the editing to Hyandul and all the members of Mother Lodge, and they were very happy to see these seconds about their own lodge, because they are very proud of Mother Lodge. And so the Festival of Saint Thomas is the moment in the 16th of, in the middle of December, when there is the changement of worshipful master. But there is also another lot of event in Mother Lodge and around Kilwinning, because all the lodges around Kilwinning are depending from Kilwinning, because Kilwinning was before the United Grand Lodge of Scotland. Of the Grand Lodge of Scotland was a Grand Lodge. So in 1808, there were the creation of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, and Kilwinning accepted to be a member of the new Grand Lodge of Scotland. But before that, Kilwinning was a Grand Lodge. And so after the movie, it's a pleasure for me to go back in Scotland and visit another lodge, and especially the lodge of Robert Burns, for example, of other lodge, and visiting this lodge and have the privilege to see the first, second, and third degrees in these different lodge, because this heart of memory is so special and so spectacular. And this is really the tradition of Freemasonry is coming from Scotland. When you see that, you understand that.
Wow, what a responsibility to showcase the Mother Lodge, and I am happy that they all look very proud and happy on film. And I want to say one last thing about Mother Lodge, if I may. They showed you their most treasured artifact, which is a minutes book dating back to the 1600s, where you see a lot of Mason's marks.
1642.
Oh, 1642. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have in the film shots of the Mason's mark, which the town which is very proud of having Mother Lodge there. The town itself has taken some of those marks. Am I correct? And showcased them around the town.
Yes, the Mason mark, you know, because at this time and not so far ago, people was not able to read and write. So they use mark to sign the register and the minutes. So it's still the tradition today. So when you see a register for a visitor or for the member of the lodge today, you see that everybody is still using Mason mark. So you don't use your name, you have a mark. And so in the Middle Age, the use of the mark, if you go everywhere in Europe, not just in Scotland, but in continental Europe, to Germany, to the south of Europe, when you visit a church, any kind of building, you find Mason mark. And it was the only way to have the salary, to have money, to be paid, because the place where the building was built was not the same place where the stone were cut. So when the workers were cutting the stone, they put their mark on the stone, and after that the stone were bring to into the town or to build the church or the building. And after that the people who had to pay the master of the lodge, who was in responsibility for the salary, just check all the mark, and I would say to him, okay, this is your salary. And if there was a problem, it was very simple to check the mark. So if you visit today, it's very strange, because if you visit today a church everywhere in Europe, you will see Mason mark everywhere inside the building. So it's like a little bit like graffiti, you know. So yes.
No, go ahead.
Well, this is a live show. I had a live idea. Let me just throw it out there. Yeah. Why don't we link the trailer to this video, because the quality is better if we link it, and we can keep talking to you.
Oh, that sounds good. You know, you were talking about imagery, and when I and looking down, the roofless Masonic
temple
was there for all of Masonry. Tell us a little bit about this. Fascinating. Sort of like in the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
Yes, it's in the Atlantic forest. It's a very rainy forest in Brazil, in the state of Paraná. And it's a dream of a Mason to have built this temple, because it's a temple open to all the lodge of the world. So if you see at the top of the picture, you will see little blue triangle. And when a lodge has a meeting in this in the middle of this forest, it takes a lot of time, you know, to go there. And when you visit when you have a meeting in this temple, after that they build a little stone in blue, a triangle with the name of the lodge. It's absolutely free to go there. But the idea behind that is the universality of brotherhood and Freemasonry. So because you know that there is especially in Brazil, you have different grand lodges. Some are regular, some are not regular, etc. So it's a little bit boring to speak about this division inside Freemasonry, but it's the reality. And some Masons don't like this situation. So this brother built this temple to everybody. But I could say also that this representation of the temple is very beautiful, because finally the Freemasonry could be done everywhere. It could be done in a forest. It could be done like in the past in the top of a tavern, in a private house. So it really don't matter where you have a meeting. In the 19th century, when the Freemasonry, especially in the United States, became very powerful society. So the Freemason start to build a Masonic building like cathedral, you know. And but today there is a big changement in the way the Freemason interact with architecture and temples. And it's not necessary to have the biggest building. So this is one this roofless temple. It's one aspect of the humility, to be humble as a Mason, you know, to practice Freemasonry. And also we have in Freemasonry a lot in our ritual, solstitial ritual. And in a lot of countries, the season of summer and season of winter, we have rituals who are done outside in the nature. So we don't need even a temple. We could do that directly in the nature. So in Italy, there is an important meeting also in Germany, in Nuremberg, in the 21 of June. And this meeting is outside in the nature and in the forest. So it's very beautiful to just have the cosmos and the skies during the night just up to you, and to feel this connection, because the temple is the representation of the universe, and is the way to understand our place in this universe. So all the temple of the world, not just the Masonic temple, but all the temple, any kind of religion, is the representation of the place of the man face to the universe and the cosmos. And so as a Mason, we understand that, and also I have to say about this roofless temple in Brazil, that this utopia, this idea of this Mason will that was not well accepted inside Brazil. You know?
Oh, it wasn't.
Yes, and you know, when you try to do new thing, when you want to change something, when you have new ideas, it's sometimes, because Freemasonry is a very conservative society, so it's not very easy. But I think thanks to Terra Masonica and thanks to the time, everybody in Brazil will say that, yeah, okay, it's a good idea, why not? But if you go there, you have to be very careful, because you have so much snakes, so much horrible animals. It's raining all the time, so you had to have a very strong faith to go there.
Well, you touched upon an important aspect of your movie. This movie is not a historical film about Freemasonry. It really does address the pressing questions of the film, which is, what is Freemasonry today? Who are the world's Freemasons? What are they looking for? And what are their beliefs? So it's a very current, you of course bring in history. You start off in Mother Lodge, full of history. But the focus of it, tell us, what is your focus? What is your message? What is what you want people to take away from your film?
It's very difficult to answer to your question, because I received so many feedback and review around the world of Mason and non-Mason who are explaining to me what they feel after the screening of Terra Masonica. So this movie is very open to everybody, you know, to every kind of people, and I try to be myself a little bit on the side. My opinion, my belief are. I keep that for me, you know, in this movie. I prefer to listen to all these brothers around the world and try to show their life. But I think that is the first movie, really, who showed that the Masons don't want to rule the world. There is no complot, because, you know, for the Mason, just to organize a barbecue the weekend is not an easy thing, you know. To face this big movement today, what we see on internet of complotism and suspicion, etc., against Freemasonry, the only way to face that is to show the reality. What is the reality of the Mason today? And so it's very surprising when, you know, when this film, when you have a premiere of this film in some country or some nation who have a very strong anti-Masonic movement, the reaction of the public is very surprising, and they say, "Oh, this is Freemasonry! I can't believe it." Because this film is absolutely free from any TV, you know, I don't make this film with funding from TV. I don't make this film with funding from any Grand Lodge. I made this film with funding of the Belgian government, who helped the cinema, who helped the documentaries. So in Belgium, it's very easy to have funding to produce documentaries like this.
Nice.
So, yes, so I was free to do exactly what I wanted to, you know. So, when you are Mason, you are living in the lodge. You are the Masonic life. It's a very long process inside your lodge, And in the same times, you have to think global and about the universality. It's a very, very complex process. So thanks to the movie, in 2 hours, you have the possibility to be connected to this universal brotherhood who is an abstraction. You know, when you say universal brotherhood, it means nothing if you didn't travel a lot around the world. So thanks to this movie, the young Mason will really quickly understand that the universal brotherhood is not just words; it's a reality.
You know, the history is fascinating to me. I'm really into history, but even more so as I look at this movie, what's so fascinating about it is to learn of the culture and the ways and the different ways of expressing Freemasonry across the world. I will never have the opportunity to visit all these places, but I have had the ability to almost actually visit them thanks to you, Tristan. And getting into some of the other areas you were at, what would you like to talk about? I think of Norway and the North Pole, and also Freemasonry in India. Talk about either one of those you'd like to, please.
Yes, a lot of people who have the opportunity to screen Terra Masonica loved a lot the sequence about Hammerfest in the North Pole. And everybody is speaking about this sequence. And I was asking to myself why. Because I explain in this sequence that the distance between the brothers are so big that everybody is very isolated in this country, in this town of Hammerfest. So it's a very special initiatic and Masonic and spiritual path. Because of the geography, because of the long distance, and because of the climate, because it's very cold. When I was outside, just to make a shot outside, it's minus 40 degrees. So it's very, very low temperature. But it's a very mystical, very deep mining, very spiritual path, and we feel that very strongly in this sequence about in Hammerfest. But it's not just the only reason. The other reason is the Swedish Rite. The Swedish Rite is a very special rite that we find only in Scandinavia. And it's coming from Germany. So I have to explain a little bit an aspect of, because we are celebrating this 300th anniversary. And in this 300th anniversary, we are focusing about London. London bring to the Freemasonry the modernity and the modernity of the sociability. This is the only explanation of the success of Freemasonry in the beginning of the 18th century is the sociability, because you have a new social class with a middle class who had a little bit free time and wanted to socialize. But the tradition, as I say, came from Scotland. But Germany bring another thing very important, is more theosophical aspect of Freemasonry, more spiritual aspect of Freemasonry, more philosophical aspect of Freemasonry. Everybody knows that in Germany you have the biggest philosophical history of humanity from Goethe to Kant. And the Swedish Rite came from Germany. And this Swedish Rite is only for Christian. And so it's a little bit problem today, because we have a globalized world and they want to change that, and they will change that. They will find solution to accept any kind of belief. But the Swedish Rite is very special, and it's a very, very interesting rite, a very difficult one. And I think it gives this special aspect during the interview that we see in the North Pole, yes.
Well, there's a surprise at the end of the the film. We're going to leave it at that for viewers. There's a surprise out of this world lodge that you do not want to miss. You want to go see what that is about. And Tristan, we are at the we're nearing the end of our interview. There's one question that I really want to get in. How long were you filming? How long were you traveling? How long did this whole project take you?
Yeah, it took 1 year to make this travel, so it was very intensive, and it took some months of editing. The editing was the most difficult part because each interview, it's 1 hour of interview. So I had 100 hours of footage, and
wow.
So the Terra Masonica is just the top of the iceberg of this filming. But I would like to, if we finish this interview, I would like to say a little bit words about India.
Yes,
Because,
yes, of course.
yes,
anything you want to say.
Yes, because India is very important. There is two important things about India. The first thing is when Freemasonry arrived in India, you know, when Freemasonry was in the West, in Europe and in US, it was a monotheistic belief, you know, in Freemasonry. But when Freemasonry arrived in India, it had to be open to different kind of belief, and especially polytheism with Hindu. And also another kind of teaching who are not really a religion, as we believe, as we think here in the West. For example, the Sikhism is more a way of life than a religion. And the Freemasonry had to be open to this teaching from the East. And if we go far in the East, in the Asia, in Japan, this different teaching became very important. For example, Shintoism, Taoism, etc. So Freemasonry is very open to every kind of belief. So when we say the grand architect of the universe, this grand architect of the universe, everybody is free to give a name, to give a form, to give any kind of thing, to put everything you want inside this grand architect of the universe. And this openness in Freemasonry today is thanks to India, because India brings so much of openness in the history of Freemasonry, and we have to say thanks to India just for that. Another aspect of the importance of India will be the biggest Grand Lodge in the world in very few years. So wow. Yes, and there is a lot of success because we are now speaking a lot about decrease of membership in Freemasonry.
Right.
But you have a very big increase of membership in Brazil, a very, very big increase of membership in India. And in India, you have a lot of young generation wanted to be member of the Freemasonry, because when you are young, when you are educated, and when, for example, when you are working in IT, in computers, in internet, etc., in Silicon Valley, in India, you have to travel. But before traveling for the work, when you are young, you have to understand the different type of culture, how to interact with different people. And the lodge is a wonderful place to learn how to interact with other person. So in India, they understand very quickly, since the independence of India, 1961, that Freemasonry was an opportunity for educating young people. And this is what's happening now in India. And the third aspect is for the future of Freemasonry. We have to build a place for the woman in Freemasonry. And for example, in US, we have, of course, the Eastern Star. Eastern Star is a very, very important female Masonic female society, but it's coming from the past, and it's adoption Freemasonry. It means that for any woman who want to be member in Eastern Star, you need to have a Mason in your family. This is for me a little problem, because I have a daughter, and I think that any woman today is free to choose for her own life. A woman don't need to have a man behind her to tell her what she have to do. So in India, and in India they decided to create female Freemasonry, who is totally independent from the male Freemasonry, of course, but this Freemasonry is independent. And any woman could be a member in this Freemasonry. So I think this is the future of Freemasonry, the young generation, and a good place, an independent place for the woman.
Which, if I can mention briefly, Spain. When you go to Spain, my goodness, there's so much that you touch upon there, including horrendous persecutions of Freemasons. And you also visit the symbolic Lodge of Spain, which is mixed gendered. And you go into the history a little bit, well, a good amount. I appreciated that good amount into the incarcerations and murders and disappearances of Freemasons under Franco, for the simple fact that they were Freemasons. So we're talking 12 years in prison, 20 years in prison. It was very, very dangerous to be a Freemason under Franco. And unfortunately, we're at the 55-minute mark. This is a time when we show a brief artifact of the month. For this month, we have a July 4th special edition. Tristan, if you don't mind, this is about 4 minutes long. If you can stay with us so that we can say goodbye at the other end of the video. Do you have anything before we go to it, Tristan or Fred, that you would like to say?
I would just like to say thank you, Helena and Frederick, and I wish you a wonderful 300th anniversary and a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you so much.
Okay, stay with us for a few minutes, Tristan.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is our July 4th Artifact of the Month video.
Phoenixmasonry Live's Masonic Artifact Series.
Our special July 4th edition. I am Frederick L. Milliken, Executive Director of Phoenixmasonry.
And I am Helena Llamas, Director of Public Relations for Phoenixmasonry.
To celebrate July 4th, we have two bookends that commemorate two of our founding fathers. Pictured here is an original matching pair of porcelain Goebel bookends depicting two very famous Masonic brothers and statesmen, Benjamin Franklin and George Washington. Each measures approximately 8 inches by 4 inches by 3.5 inches in size. They are signed Goebel on the bottom.
But there exists another version of the same bookends, which our friend Alex Powers of Historical Light found in a garage sale in Gardner, Kansas. You can see this one is smaller in size and only has one altar instead of two, like the larger ones. We also have these very, very heavy Scottish Rite 32nd degree bookends on Phoenixmasonry, which are fairly modern. It shows the double-headed eagle, which is the symbol for the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The number 32 inside the triangle represents the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite, and the Latin motto, Spes mea in Deo est, means my hope is in God.
We also have on Phoenixmasonry website two Scottish Rite 32nd degree double-headed eagle bookends. They are made of cast bronze. Long used as the insignia of a Scottish Rite Mason, the double-headed eagle of Lagash is now the accepted emblem of the United States of America of the 32nd degree. The double-headed eagle first originated in the mighty Sumerian city of Lagash. Next, we have a coin from my personal collection. It is a coin from the Native American Oklahoma Masonic Indian Degree Team. And the front, you can see a British and American flag and a square and compasses. And on the back, the eagle, square and compass, and a blue forget-me-not. And it says on the coin, Native American and Great Britain united in ancient, free, and accepted Masons. So we want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. As you celebrate the birth of our nation, remember to celebrate Freemasonry and 300 years of institutionalized English Freemasonry.
God be with you. Goodbye.
Well, thank you for sitting through that with us, Tristan. I have several announcements to make. Your film will soon be available in Amazon US, as I understood, and it is currently available on iTunes. People can get it today and go watch it. And you will be appearing soon on the Prince Hall Think Tank, and we want to thank our friend Dave again. For coming, Gillarm, sorry for my pronunciation, for coming and being our guest here for some time. You will also have a showing of Terra in Chicago at the Scottish Rite Valley. I'm going to put up the poster for those who would like the information. In case you are in that area, you can go watch it. And of course, happy 4th of July, and the official celebrations for the 300 years of the United Grand Lodge of England's creation just passed. So we want to wish everybody a happy 300. And I want to mention we will have next a very special guest, Martin Fox, who is a very prolific and diverse author, martial arts, Freemasonry. He does a lot of different things, including he's a fellow YouTuber. So you guys can, our viewers, if you're interested, you can go to his channel. He will be our next guest next month. And then we were going to have Ferenc Seebach, which is responsible for much of the art you see here on my wall all the time. And so we are thrilled to have those two interviews coming up. Fred, did you want to add something?
I just want to say to Tristan, thank you so much. A fabulous movie. Thank you for letting me tour the world, something I probably will never get to do, and the craft that I love and am a member of. What a great experience. You all have to see this movie. It is just stupendous. Thank you, Tristan.
Yes, I have to second that. Thank you for doing it justice, for doing Freemasonry justice. Yes, Tristan?
No, thank you. I appreciate. All the compliments are good to take, you know. I'm not fishing for compliment, but when they are arriving, I'm happy.
Well, you did a fantastic job, as we've been saying here, of just the aspects that you chose to focus on this film are unique and different. The film, the photographic aspects of it are to die for. So do go watch it, and thank you so much for being with us on this another episode of Phoenix Masonry Live. And that's all we have for you this time.
I'm Frederick L. Milliken.
And Elena Llamas.
Parting on the Square.
Pots.